Joining us for the remainder of the show this morning, Congressman Eric Cantor, the Minority Whip, joining us on set for the first time. Is this right?
First time.
All these appearances, you've never been on set with us.
First time. Great to be here.
Yeah. After a wild week, after a wild couple of weeks, you guys were chatting about the election results during
Virginia.
the break.
He's got Virginia,
yes.
which that goes every. What I was saying to you was the way that it has been written off as insignificant by a lot of parts of the media. That.
What did they say?
I heard you. You say every 4 years, both New Jersey and Virginia throw out the incumbents as if there's nothing else to that.
The party in power in the White House loses Virginia, New Jersey for the past 6 years.
Corzine was a Goldman Sachs guy. That's why he lost. Had nothing to do.
That's Frank Rich. That's Frank Rich right there.
Yeah, Frank Rich, which is where I get my talking points.
Let me tell you about Virginia, though. What was so stunning was the 17-point spread.
Plus 6.
Right.
That's a 23-point swing.
That's
right?
exactly right. So
something.
Absolutely. We picked up 6 seats in our House of Delegates. Something's going on there. The electorate was outraged. And, you know, it's about the economy, even in Virginia. And we've got 6.7% unemployment when the nation has 10.2. This kind of ferocity brought out the voters that says we need to change course in terms of the economy.
I just wonder what it says. But then I thought it might push back health care or something. Pelosi rammed that through on a Saturday night after that election, and a lot of those guys, maybe they were like headed to the gallows as they were going in to vote on that, right?
You really got to ask. I mean, why is there such a disconnect? I mean, really, why would she want to walk folks off the plank like this? We've got an economy the way we do. We had a health care bill that came to the floor, over $1 trillion, as you know, paid for on the backs of small businesses who we need to have them start hiring again, paid for on the backs of seniors. It's an unbelievable move on her part, and frankly, I don't know where it's going in the Senate.
Well, that's the thing. I think that's why she's able to. That gives her cover when it's not going to go much further in the Senate. Well, they're certainly not going to do the 5.6. They're doing the tax on the Cadillac plan, not the 5.6% surcharge, right? Which is across the board: capital gains, dividends, income. There's a piece in the Journal today that 69% increase in the capital gains.
So if you're Harry Reid, do you bring it and call the bluff of the Snows and the Lincolns, or do you try to do it behind the scenes? What would you do? Well,
listen, I think, you know, they have got some kind of puzzle to go figure out in the Senate. They have 60 votes to even start debate. You know, they have got to sort of get out of this sort of mandate environment. That's where they're wrong. People.
What do you mean by you mean?
Well, they've got in both the House and the Senate bill, whether you're going to have a trigger or you have a co-op or you have a public option, the fundamental structure of both bills is we're going to require individuals and employers to have health insurance and charge them if they don't. This is the tax. This is the penalty. In the Senate, it's a fee. Same thing. All it is it's counter to job creation. Right now, people want to see jobs created again. They want a deficit under control. It's not happening with this bill.
Yeah. Interesting. A lot of people have argued that in the Senate, the sticky points will be either the public option or the abortion issue. We've been reading so much about the degree to which lobbying groups have come in, the church, for instance, and made abortion the key issue. But you think the mandate will stay at the top of mind?
Well, Carl, you're right. The abortion issue is front and center now. When it came out of the House, there were 40 members of the House who signed a note to the Speaker saying that they would not support a conference report which had in it the Stupak amendment, which it just prohibits government funding of abortion, which 70% of the people of this country would like to see prohibited. And they've got another issue with the immigration piece. There's no requirement to show legal status in this bill either. They've got a bunch of issues that are still out there that they'll be very difficult to resolve.
So what's your forecast then? Does it get to the floor of the Senate by year end or not?
No. No, I think, I mean, you know, Harry Reid said a couple of weeks ago that the calendar was not going to allow for that.
But then he said it would.
Too much for them to deal with. And you know what? They may get to a point where they've got to go and default to reconciliation, which is that 50-vote threshold, not 60. If they do that, I think, and I'm not sure about this, it's probably the first time you've had such a transformative piece of legislation that is strictly done on a partisan vote. Healthcare is too big to be dealt with like that.
Let's say when taxes either go up or down through a reconciliation, that affects 100% of the country.
That's exactly right. And this.
Well, no, but I'm saying that their argument is it's been done many times, reconciliation, when you change the tax code, so that's just as big as changing health care, which is a specious.
How can they say that? I mean, health care, of all things. You know, and again, not only is this the wrong bill, it's the wrong time. Why are we so focused on trying to do a $1 trillion overhaul, get rid of the system we know, bring in something we don't, when people are out of work right now?
Because it's the richest country in the world, and we still have a lot of people we got people that are choosing which yacht to buy, and we got 47 million people that don't have health care. So it's time for a rich country to cover everyone.
And the forecast for what health care costs will be in 20 years.
And it's been 80 years we've been trying, and we finally have a chance. That's what they would say.
Well, let's not be counter to what the priority should be right now, which is job creation. And this bill, not only, again, is it the wrong bill because it doesn't even affect reform. I mean, the CBO has told us our bill is the one that actually reduces health care costs. Their bill does not. It aggravates the deficit. And it is counterproductive to what should be the first priority, which is job creation.
When you hear about from the House bill, all these Medicare cuts that are going to keep it under $1 trillion, I mean, you've seen that there hasn't been a Medicare cut that they've ever actually followed through on. What would the actual number be, in your view, that we'd actually be looking at in a real world?
Well, first of all, you know, they'll summarily get rid of Medicare Advantage, which is the piece of Medicare which was put in back in 2003, which allows seniors to actually have a choice and to not necessarily go with one-size-fits-all from Washington. But what is so unbelievable to me, and our side did it too when we were in charge, we claimed that we were going to find all these points of waste, fraud, and abuse. If the public's sitting there thinking, well, why haven't you already done this? Why is it that we have to wait for this $1 trillion overhaul for you to get serious and start watching our taxpayer dollars? You know, and that's what is so, you know, really off with this debate. The seniors are going to be on the short end of the stick, many of whom are on fixed income. You know, the employers are really going to take it on the chin, and we need them right now to start creating jobs.
So you don't think anything gets to the president's desk, certainly by year end?
No, and then, Carl, we're into the election year, and then it becomes even more difficult. And so, really, what they ought to do is, you know, stop right now and bring everybody back to the table. Let's come back to the center, have some discussions, real discussions about how we can implement a step-by-step approach to health care reform. We as Republicans proffered our plan last week. It was a smart, I believe, reasoned approach. CBO validated the fact that we bring down health insurance premiums up to 10% for the small group, out of the small group plan. There are some ways that we can put in place real medical liability reform. Mm-hmm. We can promote real competition, not just one government plan, by purchasing across state lines. There are some very straightforward moves we can make.
All right, you're going to be with us for the next, what, hour and a half?
Well, as long as you're here.
Good.
Stay here till 9.
Yeah. In the meantime, we'll go back to Becky, who, as you know, is at Columbia.